Hello, it's Matt Linklater here, and welcome to your free video training series where we're going to teach you all about money, how money works, and how to get it to work better for you. I want to start out telling you a few stories. The first ones are about my granny. About 15 years ago, 16 years ago, when I came out of college, I lived with my grandma, and it was probably one of the most fun experiences in my life because she was hilarious. And let me explain to you a couple stories about her. So here I was in the 2000 presidential election. I was coming home from work. I was a financial advisor at the time. And I walked up the stairs and I grabbed Granny's mail. And I noticed that she had an absentee ballot for the upcoming election. So I walked in and I said, "Hey, Granny, who do you want to vote for in the upcoming election?" And in true Granny fashion, she looked at me and goes, "They're all crooks." I said, "Well, Granny, I tend to agree with you. But do you think one's better than the other?" She said, "Nope, all crooks." So that's one of my favorite Granny stories. The other Granny story I want to tell you is every Sunday, I would take Granny out to breakfast. And it was her big day out. She'd pick out her hair, put on her big red, bright lipstick, and she was ready to go out. But when we were at the diner, the same problem ensued every Sunday. Granny would not order. She just would not order. And it was a debate until every Sunday I'd have to tell her that I was the one paying. Now, do you remember the first thing that you ever accomplished in your life? That first big hurdle that you ever overcame? Mine was passing my swim test at the Lakewood Aqua Club in the south suburbs of Chicago. And why this was such a big feat is before you passed your test, you had to go with an adult or somebody that was older than you. And in my case, it was my brothers. But you know, I was reaching that age that all my buddies were passing the test. Those girls I was starting to notice were passing their test. And my brothers and their buddies were egging me on to pass my swim test. So here I was the day to pass my swim test. The girls I was noticing, they were watching. My buddies were watching. My brothers were watching. Their buddies were watching. I was nervous. I'm on the edge of the pool. I jump in with the best pencil you could ever imagine. I float down to the bottom and slowly float up to the top. I start with the doggy paddle for what seemed like an eternity. I wore myself out, grabbed the side of the pool. I looked back and I only went 3 feet. And guess what? Everybody's laughing at me. There I am, embarrassed and humiliated. My brothers take me aside and say, "Hey, Matt, you can't do a short-term stroke and expect to get to the other side of the pool." Also at the Lakewood Aqua Club, the first time I jumped off of the high dive, they had about a 12-foot high dive. And I remember this specific day, I'm walking over to the high dive. I said, "You know what, I'm going to go and do this." I didn't tell anybody though. And so I started slowly climbing up the high dive. And my brother Jerry was to my right, kind of just hanging out, not paying attention to his little brother, not babysitting properly, you know, as older brothers do. And so I started walking up each step. And I would turn to look to my brother to see if he was paying attention. And each step I'd go, I'd take and look and see if my brother had noticed yet. And needless to say, about halfway up, 3/4 of the way up, he noticed. And then I knew I couldn't turn back. I wasn't going to go backwards down that ladder. So now I was at the top, and I had to jump. So in this video, we have one thing, and our company has one goal in mind, is to help American families become financially independent. So how do you become financially independent? And let's look at the definition of what I think financially independence really is. And think about what you think financially independent is for you. And really it boils down to this one thing. When the money you've saved is out earning you at your current job, then it's over. You can finally retire. But how do you get to that point? And that's what the strategies in this video training series are really all about, is how do you become financially independent? Well, I want to share with you there are some problems today in America about becoming financially independent. Let's review some of them. They're in the handout or the PDF that was sent to you, or right below this video, you can click on the PDF. Now, there are some things that are problems in America today. Saving. Nobody is saving in America anymore. And why aren't they saving? Well, costs have definitely risen over the last 10 years. Housing costs, food costs. We know gas has gone up. our salaries have gone up, but maybe not as much. So what that's led to is us relying on our credit cards. And that $500 transmission that you had to put in your car turns into $1,000 or $2,000. So consumer spending has gone down. Let alone, where do you put your money when you save? Do you put it in the wishing well that is Wall Street and hope your money comes out? We don't even know the predictability of that. Do you put it in your 401k that you can never touch again? So the education on these things puts a restraint on where we really want to save. And if we don't put and tuck that money away, what happens? We dip into it a little bit. So that leads to retirement. Now think of this. I want to ask you a question. Of 165-year-olds, how many of them do you think are financially independent? The number is going to surprise you. It's 2. Only 2 out of 165-year-olds are financially independent. So what does that mean? They're doing one of 3 things. They're living on social programs, just on Social Security. My granny lived on Social Security throughout her whole retirement, up to when she passed away at age 94. They're living with family. My mom and my granny live with my granny during her elder years to help support her. I don't know about you. Do you want your parents moving back in with you? It might be kind of nice, but let's try to avoid that. Or you don't want to move in with your kids. And then the third thing is relying on charity. So how do you change that dynamic to make sure that you're financially independent? And those are truly the problems that lie in America today, is people aren't saving, they don't know where to save, and they don't even understand how to become financially independent. So in this video training series, that's exactly what we want to do. We want to give you the solutions. And we feel there's about 7 areas that we want to cover that are in the PDF to help you become financially independent. Stay tuned. I want to give you some more stories about my granny. I want to share with you how I passed my swim test, and did I jump or not jump off of the high dive. And it's all about helping you create that financial independence for you and your family.